Hello, everyone, and welcome in. This is Aaron St. Denis at FFMadScientist, joined today by Jeremy Shulman at FF_Rebel. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Universe. Today, we are starting to get off the beaten path here, and we're getting a bit deeper into the woods. We have Tulane quarterback Michael Pratt, who is not one of the bigger names, so this is a new one. We're kind of hit the tier here. I like him, but he's obviously not in the tier with the top quarterbacks, and even some of the other guys we're recording this week. We are starting to get into some of the fringe guys who are going to go in the third, fourth, and fifth round of rookie drafts or even undrafted. So this is really where the where it gets interesting. What are your thoughts here?
Well,
excited to talk about them?
A little bit, yeah. The first thought I have as I'm reading the first paragraph here of your write-up, and the dude grew up in Boca and went to a high school with the word beach in the title, right?
So you know what? I wrote this, and I'm as I was reading it, I'm going, this is not something that's going to sound like a tough guy willing to fight through adversity. The first thing I thought was, oh my God, this kid is a rich kid who grew up in the OC. I knew nothing about him, but I read what you said. I said, Boca Raton Beach High School. I'm going, oh no.
But he looks the part too. He kind of looks a bit like a surfer dude. He's got blonde curly hair. But he's athletic, right? So like as surfers are. So it's interesting to see, not only is he athletic and a willing and capable runner, but he's got an absolute cannon of an arm. I think he tied Joe Milton for the fastest fastball at the Senior Bowl this year. So, he's got the tools. Let's dive into him and see if he can actually make the NFL.
Let's go through some of this write-up. I did this one. It's over at fantasyfootballuniverse.com. Oh, geez. Michael Pratt, quarterback, quarterback from Tulane. He is from Boca Raton, Florida, was a 3-star recruit out of Deerfield Beach High School. It just sounds lovely. Sounds like a lovely upbringing. I wish I could say I was from Boca Raton and went to Deerfield Beach.
Like
yes, I imagine that. You're right. It looks like I would imagine he'd be. Oh, do you remember old school '90s wrestling, the Main Street Posse? I imagine that's what he would sweater vest wear. But in 2020, as a freshman, he played in 10 games for Tulane. That freshman season was nothing special. He recorded 1,806 passing yards, 20 TDs, and 8 interceptions. Completion percentage of 55.1%. Not a great start, but promising. In 2021, as a sophomore, he appeared in 12 games, where his stats seen a slight uptick, passed for 2,390 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. His completion percentage rose to 57.8. Again, not a terrible season, nothing special. As a junior in 2022, he appeared in 13 games, and his production was the best of his collegiate career. He threw for 3,009 yards, 27 touchdowns, both career highs, and only 3 interceptions, a career low. Completion percentage was also noticeably higher at 63.6%, the first encouraging step of his collegiate career. His final season in college was last year in 2023, played in 11 games with mixed results. His passing yards and touchdowns took a slight step back to the 21 totals, but he did manage to maintain the low interception rate and high completion rate. I'm not sure overall. I think there was a lack of talent. For me, it's a mixed bag. Like I said there, I was encouraged by the fact that his ball security maintained, like still low interception rate, high completion percentage. That's good. I like that. He just didn't have the ceiling there. All the other numbers, took a step back. So that could have been the result of, a limited talent pool. I see there's some potential there. My first comparison was Brock Purdy, in the sense that this guy has game manager written all over him, just not going to turn the ball over. I just don't know if he has that next gear. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy's an absolute gamer. I mean, he led a comeback drive and they beat USC in the Cotton Bowl in 2022. You put a couple asterisks next to his name because he had Tajay Spears in the backfield, and I think in that game he ran for 250 and 4 touchdowns. But it's almost like a JJ McCarthy type situation where the guy has talent. You're just not sure exactly how much talent because the run game and everything was taking over. The other thing to consider is that speaking of talent, they're not playing against much talent. I assume it has something to do with which I'm not too caught up on, but the restructuring and everything going on with people leaving divisions and Pac-10 and all this stuff and whatever division Tulane's in. But they go from playing Oklahoma and USC and UCF to like their best opponent this season, who beat them was Southern Methodist, maybe Tulsa, maybe North Texas, right? So it's really a mixed bag here of the talent he's facing, and like you said, the lack of talent that he has on his offense.
Yeah, the measurables, like I said, it's limited. A lot of them I don't have because they're just expected or from high school. He shows a lot of speed and a raw athleticism. The size is decent, 6'3", 216, above average. He's still relatively young, 21 and a half. As you said, lack of competition is a problem. He was an American all 4 years, but with, like you said, the restructuring, it was his non-conference schedule that really took a hit, not so much the American schedule didn't really have much in way of competition. It was his non-conference schedule that seen him go from playing half decent programs to, like you said, what was it, Southern Methodist, you said?
Yeah.
So that's a concern. I would have expected the numbers, although like the numbers aren't terrible. It's just in that conference, this is where you'd expect to see the guy throw for 5,000 yards. Who was it a few years ago? Was it Bailey Zappi had like 6,200 yards passing in average conference A, whatever the hell conference it was. Yeah. And that's what you would expect. The 3,000 yard season was good. I'm happy he's able to secure the ball, not turn it over, decent completion percentage, but you wouldn't think he would have been able to air the ball out a little bit more in a conference of this level.
I would just say that Jaquan Johnson is a decent talent. He looked pretty good at the Senior Bowl as well. In some practices, he's more of a speedster than anything else. And then, he was getting it to the tight end who I don't even know who he is. But, he had some, weapons. But like I said, Tajay obviously went to the NFL, looks to be a nice talent going forward. And they really didn't have much in the way of talent outside of him.
Yeah, more so to that point. I think aside from Johnson, who's way down our list of articles, I don't think we have anyone else on his offense here.
No.
Do we have? Trying to remember. I don't even remember who the running back was this year.
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, me neither. So I don't think there was a whole lot of supporting cast for him. But all right, some of his strengths. He had good velocity and accuracy on short to intermediate throws, which seemed to be his specialty. Again, like I said, game manager, didn't really air it out. Uses his eyes effectively to bait and manipulate the defenses, which helps him, make safer throws. Quickly realizes gaps and opportunities in coverage and takes a downfield shot when they are present. They weren't present all that often. Not a lot of receivers. Like you said, Johnson was a speed guy. He got open every once in a while. That was the extent of his deep throws. I would imagine most of his 22 touchdowns were in that scenario. Great decision-making and ball security, low turnover rate. So this has, like I said, the makings of a guy who will pepper the field with short, high percentage throws. And then every once in a while, air one out deep. This kind of feels like towards the end, Drew Brees. He didn't have Drew Brees's early career vintage arm talent, but he does. Towards the end, I don't want to say he had Brees's ending arm, because by the end, Brees had no arm. But he had the 3 or 4 years towards the end there, Brees still had enough arm talent to get him by, and he was very smart with his decision making. He just didn't necessarily have the ceiling anymore, and that's kind of how he felt to me. What stood out for you as a strength?
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with you. It was his quick release and his processing. I think that's why your Brock Purdy comp makes plenty of sense. Ideally, he would be in a similar situation. I just don't know that a situation exists in the NFL where the team needs a quarterback and they have elite play caller with elite weapons all over the field. I don't think Atlanta is going to be taking a shot on this guy. And if they do, I don't.
Minnesota?
Yeah, maybe. But those teams I would expect to be drafting a quarterback higher than Pratt is likely going to go. Maybe they take a chance like I don't even know what year it was, the 2012 Redskins when they took RG3 and Kirk Cousins. Maybe they do a similar sort of situation there where they grab two quarterbacks in the top 4-5 rounds. I don't know that that's a viable strategy, but he has the ability to compete, and that strong arm is going to take him a long way. He needs to work on his accuracy and a few other things, which we'll talk about here.
I was thinking he was a good fit behind a Stafford or a Cousins or Geno in the sense that maybe they'll let him sit for a year, but we'll get into that in a minute. We'll stick with his weaknesses here. Lacks elite arm strength and velocity needed to hit the deep ball. That obviously was a struggle. Has a long and unsteady throwing motion that I didn't really like. It was very time consuming. Left him open to those big hits from the defenders where you see it coming and he gets smoked and the ball pops out. Tends to rush more so inside the red zone. I don't think he likes having the condensed field there, and pinpoint accuracy isn't necessarily his strong suit. Possesses a limited burst in athleticism. He's got some athleticism. He's got some speed to him. It's just he's not going to be a rushing quarterback. It's one of those Rodgers back in the day where, he wasn't a rushing quarterback, but if the pocket broke down and it's third down, you could see him scramble for 12 yards to the first down. But what did you notice was his biggest weakness?
I didn't necessarily think that he didn't have elite arm strength. I thought the arm strength was elite. The problem was he was like early Aaron Rodgers firing, Brett Favre maybe firing the ball at the guy from 5 yards away and, it's just bouncing off his chest or off his hands because it's coming in too hot. He needed a lot more touch on some of his passes. Some of the deep balls that were completed, the touch looked nice, but it was inconsistent overall. So.
Yeah, that's what I meant. On the deep ball, I didn't like his arm. I didn't like anything on there.
Yeah.
Arm strength, velocity, touch. His deep ball wasn't something I loved.
What I saw was like he only has a fastball and a changeup. There's no like slider in there. There's like no mid range. It's either just kind of trying to loop it over the top of the defense or just firing it in there. So if he can develop that touch, I think he'll be interesting. The biggest problem, I think, though, for him is that he's 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's not going to grow. He won't be able to put on too much more size. And, if he's going to be running around a ton, which he probably shouldn't at the next level. Oklahoma 2 years ago absolutely murdered him. It was like a 3 concussion game for him. I really wonder how effective he can be because his game is interesting, but his size is, he could be Josh Allen if he were the size of Josh Allen. He's just not.
Okay. All right. Let's get into pre-draft. I went with round 3. I think that's pretty safe for him. I think he's end of day 2 pick. I went with the Jets, but like I said before, this could be anywhere. This could be Rams. This could be Seahawks, Vikings. I want him to go somewhere. I forget who we were talking about yesterday, but it was another quarterback where it was similar to him, where I think there's talent. I think he needs to sit for a year, and I would like to see him for a year behind a veteran quarterback who's probably in their last year with the team before they eventually move on from him, and then they find out. I think I even said that then they find out if he has anything.
I wouldn't hate, and I'm only bringing this up because I know they've had multiple meetings with him at the Senior Bowl already. But assuming that Denver is as high on Pratt as the early reports are insisting they are, if you take Pratt and go out and get someone like you're saying, a stopgap, like a Jimmy G type, not someone who's going to light the world on fire, but at least a veteran who's capable, who can come in and isn't going to stay very long. Give him a little bit of knowledge, help him incorporate him into the system, and then see if he has it. I think that's great. I just don't know if that's a winning strategy for long term for any NFL team.
I was thinking Denver should bring in that scenario someone like Gardner Minshew, I think. Jimmy G, Gardner Minshew. I actually don't hate if Russ was still there, Russ for one more year and then move on from him. But I think my main point is I want to see him learn and from a veteran in front of him. I don't want him starting as a rookie. So
yeah, I think he's likely a backup quarterback in the NFL, but maybe he can, like you said, maybe he can Minshew his way into something a little bit more relevant.
This has some Josh Dobbs potential where I think he could be a backup for a while, come in, look awesome for 3 or 4 games, and then all of a sudden the book's out on him and they're like, okay, he's not anything special. So, all right, well, that concludes the 2024 rookie sneak peek of Tulane quarterback Michael Pratt. Check back tomorrow for the next one in our series. Not sure who it is. You can head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com for the full write-up of Pratt and pretty much every other player in the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft. We're working our way through them, and we are about halfway there. So for Aaron and Jeremy, thank you all for tuning in to the Fantasy Football Universe. Take care, everyone.